Do you want to learn effective ways to build relationships, generate sales, and grow your business from successful entrepreneurs, startups, and CEOs without listening to a long interview? If so, you've come to the right place. Gresham Harkless values your time and is ready to share with you precisely the information you're in search of. This is the IAM349 podcast.
Hello. This is Gresh from the IAM349 podcast, and I have a very special guest on the show today. I have Haris Reese of BIH Media. Haris, it's awesome to have you on the show.
Super pumped to be here. Thank you for having me, Gresham.
No problem. Super excited to have you on. And what I wanted to do was just read a little bit more about Haris so you can hear about all the awesome things that he's doing. And he is a two-time national award-winning entrepreneur, two-time national best-selling author, keynote speaker, and digital marketer. He previously was the co-founder of Changing Lanes International, which helps authors, speakers, and coaches build their brands online. He took the company to a six-figure business in 10 months. He was previously a growth hacker at VaynerMedia, building Gary Vaynerchuk's personal brand. He's built Sync Sumo, a SaaS solution with customers in 30-plus countries, and now runs a consultancy which has generated millions of dollars for clients, a social media agency, and has a handful of personal clients. Haris, are you ready to speak to the IAM349 community?
Oh, I am pumped. I've heard about the community. I am super excited to share some value, and hopefully they get a lot out of it.
Yeah, I definitely think we will. And to kick everything off, I wanted to hear a little bit more about your background and what I call your CEO story and what led you to start your businesses.
Yeah, man. So it's been a crazy journey. So I'm from Bosnia originally. I was born in Germany. My parents fled Bosnia. My whole family was born in Bosnia, a really small town called Banja Luka. They fled to Germany. My dad got offered to play soccer. He was amazing at soccer. He played on the national level. And
Nice.
he got offered to go down there to play, which is great for him because that's his dream. He takes his family out of the war, win-win solution. So they go down there, and then I happen, and my dad tore his ACL, and he went back to, for like the third time. So he said, I have a family, I got to take care of them. I went back home to Bosnia. We spent time in Croatia, and then they started getting the paperwork to come to America. Fast forward, 2001, we come to America, out of all places, Omaha, Nebraska, which is a great place. Don't get me wrong, but the cold 6 months out of the year, not my favorite. Yeah, it can be. So we came here, and then I saw my parents. I always had everything I wanted to, so I don't want to preface it by saying, like, oh, I never had anything I wanted. I always had everything I wanted, but my parents were working all the time for it. I rarely saw them. They were working 18-hour days, 4 jobs each. So I was like, okay, I want to help them. So at 12, I got my first job. I was officiating soccer because I played soccer. My dad's really good at soccer. My cousin's a FIFA ref. I was like, okay, I can maybe go down this path. And it was good income. It was, I was 12 making $25 an hour, which doesn't sound bad at all back in 2001.
Nice.
Yeah, it sounds cool. So the second part of the story is I only ref 1 game or 2 games a day. So I made $25 a day. People don't go, oh, that's great. But you say $25 an hour because the game's an hour.
Yes.
So yeah, I did that. And then I realized, man, I'm only paid when the soccer teams are playing and when they need an official. I can't control that. How do I make money where if I'm sleeping, I can make money. If I'm awake, I make money. It has no other factor on anything besides, I want something online. So I built like an online shopping mall, and then that failed, and then, hundreds of other businesses. And then I had Changing Lanes, which was like my first success. But that was kind of the path. It was just a bunch of companies trying a bunch of different things.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of times when you peel back the onion of, success and entrepreneurship, a lot of it is trying a lot of things and testing things out, seeing what works and what doesn't work. And I appreciate you for doing that and continue to try those things out, because I think a lot of times the perception is that, you wake up, roll over, create something, and then you make a million bazillion dollars. And that's often not the case.
Yeah, man, it's weird. I thought I bought a domain, and then I went to bed, and I did not wake up being Mark Zuckerberg.
What is going on with the world?
I emailed Facebook support saying, guys, what the heck?
Exactly. I watched the social network and everything. So I wanted to hear a little bit more about what you're doing now. Can you tell us a little bit more on what you're doing to kind of support the clients you work with?
Yeah, so now I have a consultancy where we help high net worth individuals solve very, very complex problems. Sometimes those solutions we use as spin-off companies, because if we solve the problem for one company, we can usually solve it for more. There's a local trucking company here. I helped them generate dozens and dozens of leads, and now 95% of their business all comes from social media, which is crazy because they've been trying to do it but they couldn't.
Nice.
Yeah, and that's a very profitable industry. I've generated in under 4 months 16.5 million for them, and which is great. Yeah. So I did that, and I do a handful of other projects. I do social media management and marketing. I help people build their own personal brands. This year, Gresham, I decided to build my own personal brand instead of doing it for everyone else always, which is hard for us entrepreneurs, especially us CEOs, where we always want to help others, and we do a really good job, and then we forget about ourselves.
Yeah.
And, you come to me and you're like, Harks, I want to build my brand. Okay, great, Gresham, here are the 100 steps we need to do it. And we just know how to do it. It's like, okay, we need a picture with this. We need a video doing this. We need this. We need that. It's just easy. And then you flip the coin and you're like, okay, Harks, I want to build my own brand. Okay, well, I know what I need to do, but it's a little tricky.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. It's like Copper's kids, so to speak.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
I'm doing that. I'm building my own brand. I'm documenting my journey of going from 500 to 50,000 followers on Instagram. One thing in business, especially us CEOs, we just want to be in the dirt kind of going. Clouds in the dirt, full Gary V analogy. We just want to be in the dirt going, where I've realized that's not good. And I invest money into mentors. So I know Facebook very well. I know social media very well. But there's others who know it way better than I do. So I want to build my own brand. I know the steps, but I still hired a mentor who crushes it on Instagram specifically to help me understand that channel better.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing. And then a handful of other personal just projects.
Nice. Well, I definitely appreciate that, because a lot of times, you forget that in order to be successful, as we kind of touched on a little bit too, you have the opportunity to tap into the expertise of so many people. You can do that by, having mentors. You can do that by reading books, podcasts, so many different ways. And this is an awesome time just because you can tap into so much as far as like how to be successful at whatever big, goal you have, or even those small niche goals that you might have, because there's somebody that probably is an expert at it that has created something.
Right. And one thing that we never can lose, even if we become successful in one field, because I become very successful on the Facebook and paid media side, is becoming complacent and saying, okay, cool, I have that figured out. It's over. Like, I won. Where that's a very bad mentality, where I wake up every day saying, okay, what's the next trick in Facebook? How can I figure this out? Okay, 95% of one client's customers are all coming from Facebook. How do I make that less and generate more on other platforms? Well, I got to learn other platforms more. Okay, who can teach me these other platforms instead of me trying to learn on my own?
Right.
We can become complacent as some entrepreneurs. Not everybody, but sometimes we become so robotic, where we just know our industry, want to stay in it, but you got to be hungry for the next. What's the next thing, especially in social media? Because we all saw it a couple months ago where Facebook and Instagram just shut down for a day. Everyone went crazy.
Yeah. It was anarchy, definitely, just because, when you don't have that at your disposal. But you're absolutely right. So would you consider that to be like your secret sauce, just your desire to continue to kind of learn more and to push the envelope? Do you think that's what sets you apart and makes you unique?
Obsessiveness to learn, because the more I learn that I don't know much. And then the other part is just I have a way, and I'm not the only one. I know that you have viewers too that are probably the same way, but we're very naive in a bad way. I also do MMA and jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai, and I just think I can beat everybody. And then I'll get beat, and then I'll go, okay, let's go again. You can put King Kong in front of me, and I can think I win. If I want to get to Taylor Swift on Instagram, I just think I can, and I just figure out how. Versus a lot of people want to. Oh gosh, I need to work with XYZ or Ed Milet. He's big in the entrepreneur business space. I want to work with Ed Milet, but man, he has 1 million followers. I have 50. I don't have a big business. How do I work with? I can't do that. I'm just from Omaha or a small town, Virginia or Florida. I can't do that. Versus yes, you can. You just have to figure out your right angle. Because there always has to be something in it for them. So you just have to figure out your own angle. So being naive is big in business. Thinking you
Yeah.
can't. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's always a reason why you cannot do it, quote unquote. But to be able to have that different mindset shift and that change to understand why you can do it and how you can make it happen is something that a lot of people don't realize they can tap into. So I appreciate you for sharing that with us. And appreciate you definitely for obviously doing that as well. So I wanted to switch gears a little bit. And I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO hack. And this might be an app, a book, or a habit that you have, but what's something that makes you more effective and efficient?
Working out. And that might be a little cliche, but it does help. I actually do it twice a day. It's the first thing I do when I wake up and the last thing I do in the day.
Nice.
Jujitsu, that is a workout, but it's kind of like fun.
Yeah, that's my big saying is always make sure your oxygen mask is on first before you try to help out others. And I think that is right in the line with it, because a lot of times, you think that by taking the 30 minutes to an hour to work out, you're missing out on 30 minutes to an hour. But in reality, you might be giving yourself more energy that you can add on 2-3 hours to whatever you're doing that you couldn't do otherwise.
Right.
Absolutely. And now I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO nugget. And this is a word of wisdom or a piece of advice, or if you can hop into a time machine, what would you tell your younger business self?
Yeah, great question. What would I tell myself? It was actually a mental hack to myself, and I feel that a lot of others can relate to this. Where before I started building my own personal brand, I said, why would people listen to me? And granted, by this time, I was 20, well, I'm 25 now, and I just decided to do it. But by the time I turned 25, I've already built a 6-figure business, which most haven't. I've already invested probably over $250,000, if I had to estimate it, into my own personal growth. I worked with Gary Vee. I have a resume that most don't. I have amazing testimonials from people that are Shark Tank, founder of the Dollar Beard Club or Dollar Shave Club. I have all of these assets, and then I could never make myself go, build my own brand. I always said, oh, I can't, I use that bad mentality that you should never use. And then the nugget, the wisdom thing was, why not me? If Grant Cardone called me years ago, good example. And are you familiar with this Power Players show?
I think so. I think I've seen it on like Instagram or YouTube or something.
Yeah, it's one of those shows where he brings on guests and interviews them. He obviously has a huge audience. Years ago, he invited me to be on it. And I was like, big audience. I don't know how much value I can bring. I just didn't do it. Horrible. Today, if Grant Cardone or Forbes or whoever calls me, of course they call me. Who else are they going to call? That mentality was like, who else are they going to call?
Yeah.
I trust you. Like telling yourself, like, yeah, you're actually like good at this. And then other people are now, I'm on many podcasts, doing a lot of shows, getting on a lot of calls. And people are posting on LinkedIn saying this one thing that Horace, I was on a call with Horace. This one thing really stuck out with me. And it's the way I'm going to think for the next, coming years. And I was like, oh gosh, I'm helping a lot of people just by doing this. So that mentality shift was great. Telling my younger self, just, it's cliche as it sounds, but just believe in yourself. Like you can help everybody.
Absolutely. And that mindset shift and just say, why not me? Who are you not to think that you're great? Who are you not to be great? Who are you not to be the person that can give, so much value is something that's huge that we all can kind of tap into. And I think something that there's always that imposter syndrome that I think a lot of founders and entrepreneurs kind of deal with, but to be able to kind of tap into that, to realize that you're greater than sometimes you may give yourself credit for is something that can, level up everything.
Yeah. The greats knew they were great before anyone else did.
Exactly. Well, Muhammad Ali says, I told myself I was great before anybody else said I was. So great reminder. And now I wanted to ask you my absolute favorite question, which is the definition of what it means to be a CEO. And we're hoping to have different quote unquote CEOs on this show. So Haris, what's being a CEO mean to you?
The highest of highs and lowest of lows, because the CEO, you're at the top, right? Quote unquote, the top. But the top means that everyone's problems come to you.
Mm-hmm.
The top means you're responsible for everyone else's paychecks. There's a lot of stress because they rely on that. So you have to bring in business. And the biggest thing as a CEO is everything comes down to you. There's no one to blame. If you're number 3 or 4 or 5 down the chain, you can always blame the person above you, right? Oh, well, it didn't work because, some guy named Nate didn't do his job. Okay, well, if you're the CEO, if it didn't work, ultimately it's your fault. regardless. If this Nate guy messes up, who hired Nate? Well, you did. Who pays Nate? Well, you did. Who's managing Nate? Well, you are. So everything comes down to you.
Absolutely. Yeah, having that whole kind of perspective to understand that the buck stops with you for good or bad is something that's very, very important, because a lot of times, it's easy to not put yourself in that position just because you want to blame X, Y, and Z, and you want to be not responsible. But in reality, you are, if you are, especially in that quote unquote CEO role that you have, and you make the decisions, you manage the people for good or bad. So you kind of have to understand that. Well, Harris, I truly appreciate your time. What I wanted to do was pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there's anything additional you want to let our readers and listeners know. And then, of course, how best they can get a hold of you and find out about all the awesome things you're doing.
Yeah, just think whatever you think is possible, just think 100 times bigger. And that's kind of cliche. It's Grant Cardone, 10X everything.
People that want to follow up with you, what's the best way?
The best is Instagram. The handle is @Harris, HARIS_Reis, REIS.
Nice. Well, we'll definitely appreciate your time, and we'll definitely, follow you as well too, to add a little bit to that, that number that you're at now. And we'll have those links in the show notes as well, so that anybody can follow up with you. But definitely appreciate your time. And I hope you have a phenomenal rest of the day.
Thanks. You too. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for listening to the I Am CEO podcast, powered by Blue 16 Media. Tune in next time and visit us at IAM349.co. I Am CEO is not just a phrase, it's a community. Be sure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, and everywhere you listen to podcasts. Subscribe and leave us a 5-star rating. Grab CEO gear at www.ceogear.co. This has been the I Am CEO podcast with Gresham Harkless. Thank you for listening.